YouTube. I've been playing my PGM 30 the last few days. And I think everyone should have an RG. Also, maybe one of the best buys for getting like a pro level guitar cheap. Not my usual term of cheap. Cheap is still, less than an Epiphone and Les Paul costing you. Right, Epiphone and Les Paul's a relatively cheap guitar. I'm not talking about £1,500, Yeah, so the ultimate super strat, I suppose. My first guitar was very like this. The first guitar I had that worked was a Yamaha RGX, which is basically a copy of the RG, a wee bit rounder, but similar sort of thing. With the Floyd Rose, the 24 frets, the HSH, and all that. Yeah. So I mean, I totally get why these are not as popular as they should be, because they've got like a stigma to them that you're going to shred on it. So it's really for string skipping and all that stuff, which they totally are the best for. I think it kind of makes you play a bit differently. I'm quite enjoying it. I don't know, maybe just get a bit more confident with it. I feel I've tamed it a little bit. I was a wee bit scared of this guitar. I mean, I've had this more than a year now. And okay, it didn't work at the start, but still a little bit kind of not really worthy of playing it, because I can't play any Paul Gilbert type things. But it plays normal chords, no problem at all. And okay, this is the Paul Gilbert, and I'm talking. I've got another RG, the thumbnail. Yeah, so this is a 470 RG. Yeah, I think they're both the same year, 2000 F0003, F02. Yeah, so a 2003 or 2002. Basically the same guitar. There's not the Paul Gilbert signature model is this one, obviously, but he didn't do very much to it. The neck is, I thought it was thicker than that. It doesn't really. It's a wee bit thicker. I think it's 2mm. It's a wizard neck, but it's 2mm thicker. And he moved the volume control to there and put F holes on it. Apart from that, it's pretty much just a standard SG RG. It's got the same trem on it. This one's a low TRS Trem 2. I think that's just a low TRS, and the difference there is that's got like a different socket thing that takes the tremolo arm. This one's one of the screw-in ones, and that one's just like a push-in. Yeah. But it's just the whole sleekness of it is kind of bizarre. It seems it's like, I don't know, because it feels to have a really wide fretboard. It doesn't. I don't think it actually is, but it feels really wide, and it's dead thin that way. I think it's 2mm thinner on the normal RG. And the HSH thing, it's a brilliant layout. This one's got this is a Steve Vai Evo set. You can tell they're not original because they've got gold pole pieces on them. That's a real single coil in the middle, whereas the Paul Gilbert, basically when I got this, it didn't have these pickups in it. It had a stacked DiMarzio in the middle. This is because it came with these, I assume it's the actual Steve Vai one, just a normal single coil. I think it's still a DiMarzio though. So positions 2, then 3 for real single coil. Position 4. And these are good Floyd Roses. Once they're set up right, it's maybe, again, if you've played the guitar for a few years, maybe time to get one with a Floyd Rose that actually works, that you can have set. When I said my first guitar was similar to this, the Floyd Rose, and I didn't even know there was such a thing as concert pitch when I had that guitar. So it was either, the bridge was either sunk away into the body or thing. I mean, I think eventually I had bits of wood wedged in the back of it just so I could play it. In fact, I did. I think it's the first I've thought of that ever. I seem to remember it being actually magnets like bar magnets I had stuck to the trem block to stop it moving, just so I could actually play it. I didn't have an action, it was an inch or an inch below the fingerboard. But it's kind of weird playing this because it doesn't look like it should be for this. Once you stick the rat pedal on, suddenly you go, alright, it's kind of... That's when the silliness begins. But it does very good. Cleany, stratty stuff. Wee bit of distortion. I've tried this with a wee bit of distortion here. Funny chord in there. Rapido. It does egg you on, this guitar though. Just play faster than that, come on. What is it? And the joy of having a Floyd Rose that's that you trust. I don't know necessarily how good it has to be, but when you actually trust it, that you can actually go and then go, I know you're going to be in tune. What a difference. Like, it's an entirely different beast. a Floyd Rose that works than one that doesn't work. One that doesn't work is just a flipping nightmare. You'll see a lot of these guitars that someone's blocked off the back. Actually, the other one, if I can swap over. So technically not actually an RG, it's a PGM, but I mean there's subtle difference. So I think if you're looking to try and get one of these, I always say that there's a magic point when guitars are worth the least amount of money they're going to be worth, and it's normally about, I used to say like sort of 15 years. It's maybe a little bit more than that now, sort of 15 to 20 years before they start becoming vintage. So the problem with the RG, obviously this has been J-Packs, this was just black, and somebody put a third, it's got 3 Seymour Duncans in it. But okay, the neck is thinner on this. But it makes you do things. This is making me. It makes you do things. This is making it me for some reason play pinched harmonics with more regularity than I can normally do. It's not that much thinner neck, just a wee bit. But it's worth it just going, I'm actually using this because I actually finally changed the volume control. The volume control on this was crackly and I finally put a proper one in. So recommended model of RG to get is the 470. It's basically the same. The big one is the 550, which was the first one that came out at the same time as the Gem, because obviously the Gem was first, but at the same time Ibanez just happened to make a guitar that was kind of like the Gem but without all the really expensive stuff on it. But the principles are all there. You still get your massive scoops, the same shape, the 24 frets, the wizard neck, the Floyd Rose, all that. Just more basic versions, doesn't have the hole in it. I think that's the biggest difference, really. Yes, so basically if you're thinking about, I wouldn't bother looking at a new one. It's expensive for a Japanese one, but if you get one that's 50, like from the early 2000s, something like that, because I was saying there, the 550 is basically this exact guitar, but it's got a scratch plate. So it's more desirable because that's the main one. Also, people want this has got the all access neck join or something. People think there's more tone, and Paul Gilbert's one, his modern ones, has got a squarer heel because there's more tone because the wood's connected more, which might be a little bit. It does mean that the high fret access is, it's totally unrestricted. There's tons of room to get up there. So the more desirable ones don't have this neck join on it, but that makes it cheaper. I mean, and I think you're talking. One of my favourite modern guitars was my pal had I think he still got it. It's like a sparkly purple RG 300 and something like that, like a modern one, and it's like an Indonesian one. It's 2 humbuckers, hardtail, and it's a stunning guitar. I think they were maybe about 250, 300 quid new, and yes, fantastic. But I think if you want the full RG, you got to get the Japanese one, because then you just get like a pro level guitar for maybe a bit more than that one cost new. But the problem with these is they're a bit bland. Not this one, obviously. Not this one or the Paul Gilbert, but the two most exciting looking RGs you can get. They're generally just black, or sometimes they're just like sort of unfashionable colours. There's one, there's a sort of bronzy one and a sort of greeny, silvery one, and it's like kind of. But I mean, just get it for the full on experience of having the shredder neck, and it just, even regardless. I mean, I don't particularly really want to play, that sort of technically stuff, but it's fun doing it. Like sort of Steve Vai and Paul Gilbert and Joe Satriani, all that stuff. I'm not really super keen on that kind of music, but I mean, just because it's the guitar can do so much more than that. I mean, that's what Pete and Diesel, when they were playing, the guitarist in that's pretty much nearly all the time just playing cowboy chords on a Prestige Ibanez. I think you pay a bit more for the Prestige name for the Prestige. This one doesn't say it on it. Why? I don't know. I think there was a time when Prestige just meant Japanese. That one is actually, even though it doesn't say on it, it's in the catalogue under Prestige, which I think just meant Japan at one point, but maybe not in 2000 just the 2002, the 2003 one. This is the year after it, so I don't know what they were thinking, but you'll pay a bit more for the Prestige. And this is a much better guitar than some of the more expensive modern ones I've played. Is it the Iron Label and things like that? They're still quite expensive, but they've got really fancy. You know, they've got all the burl tops and all that stuff. Spend the money that you spend on making it a burl top and a neck through and all that on making it like this. So you spent all the money. It's just basswood body, bolt on neck, nothing really fancy going on about it, but it's just built really well. So that's kind of, same as a lot of guitars, I would go for the more basic, better, Japanese in this case, ones rather than one with all the fancy stuff on it. And that's the problem a lot of people get with the Floyd Rosey thing. I think they kind of now do it. Ibanez Geos, I think there are Floyd Rose ones. They didn't do it for a long time. It was just one of those things that, see, like something like a Telecaster bridge. Well, it's not even a proper it's like a bent piece of metal. So you can't really, that. There's not really much that you can get wrong with it. Okay, this is a 6-saddle tele bridge. You know what I mean? It's basically just an L-shaped piece of metal with a hole cut in it and then saddles. So it's like, yeah, a cheap one of them's not really going to be that different from an expensive one of them. Okay, thicker metal for more tone, or maybe brass, or that sort of thing. Okay, that's going to make it a little bit better, but it's not going to make a huge difference. You're still going to be able to make a functional one, whereas a Floyd Rose, there's an awful lot of bits in a Floyd Rose. All these saddles and all these things are built to a tolerance. So when you get like a cheap one, I think they work okay from new, but they don't. If you get like they've all had idiots on them who've tried to adjust these things themselves, just like on a proper, I think it's a Takeuchi that make this, I can't remember. It's just, there's an awful lot of bits and complicated mouldings and all these things and weak points, and it's just this Floyd here actually is it's one of the simpler ones. The low TRS. It's kind of like the original Floyd Rose, which is like just one piece metal base plate, whereas a lot of RGs you get have more modern. Ibanez have got some really pretty advanced ones that have got rollers and wheels and pulleys and stuff in them, and they are fantastic. There's actually a guitar, an RG on just now, an RG 2000 and something. This is like a 470, which are no longer Japanese, but it's 500 quid or 600 quid in a hard case. It's like a Team J-Craft handmade, and you're just like, okay, more expensive than I would pay in a guitar, but if I was going to pay £600 guitar, you're not going to get a better guitar than that. There might not even be a better guitar that exists than that. And Scott's got one. He's got his is an RG 1500 or something like that. I don't particularly like the colour, but it's just like stealth black, and everything's black on it, but it's basically just this guitar, but everything's just a wee bit more expensive. It's like the bridge is like an edge, and it's got like titanium saddles, and not pointless, makes it 1% better. A few things like that. That's kind of it, to be honest. Actually, I like this one better because it's got a glossy neck. I prefer the glossy over the. I think it's actually more laminate. This isn't actually a laminate neck. This is just like two pieces with a scarf join. I think his might be a 5-piece. I don't think it's neck through. In fact, I'm sure it's not neck through, because neck through makes it better. Yeah, but does it? I'm sure if it made it better, Steve Vai would have had neck through, because it was obviously an option for him. Yeah, so even this one, with the 3 pickups, I've still got position 2 and 4 are still the. You wouldn't have thought that was an invader and a screaming demon. Oh, let's hear both of them on at the same time. Here we go. This Floyd Rose seems very. It's got the same kind of strings on it, and it's set up. It seems to have a warble to it when you hit a chord really hard. Here it goes. Brrr. Maybe not. I think I'm sort of imagining it. But it means in the middle position, I've got a humbucker. And nobody's ever got a middle position humbucker. Invader. And I'm even talking about these two RGs coming in at a cheap price, and they come with the fancy pickups. I mean, this was still. I think you can get a brand new Squire is cheaper, but this one came with 3 Seymour Duncans in it. And I was even tempting to haggle with the guy, and I went up and I was just playing it. The thing, I did literally nothing to this guitar apart from take it to bits, get Jen to paint it, and then when I put it back together again, I rewired the switch to get those split positions. Originally it was just, humbucker, 2 humbuckers, humbucker, 2 humbuckers, humbucker, but now I've got the split coil in the middle 2 position. And I changed the volume pot because it was crackly. But still, you're talking about a couple of £100. Even just for, I don't know, they're such a strange thing. I mean, if you go back, I bought one of these years ago. I think I made the mistake. Maybe if you're buying, like, if you're going to get like a Geo or a cheaper one, the one I had was a 321 MH. I think it was just 2 humbuckers, but it had the 5-way switch. The 5-way switch and the 2 humbucker RGs up here, amazing setup. It gives you like what you would get with a 3-way, but the positions 2 and 4. 2 is like the outside coils or the inner coils of the 2 pickups, and then the other one is the neck pickup wired in. Position 4 is the neck pickup wired in parallel, which gives you like a neck pickup single coil sound, and in the middle Telecaster strap position 2 or 4 type sound out of just 2 humbuckers, and it's a hardtail. But it was mahogany, so I couldn't really paint it, and I just wish, I don't know, I think they need to have an outrageous paint job. Or something to make them a little bit, to give them some character, because the character's been totally taken away and you're left with this clinical machine for shredding technically. But I mean, it comes down to see how easy it is to play all the notes at the same volume, things like that. And it's that any mistakes you make are your mistakes. It's not, you can never really blame the guitar when you play one of these. It's kind of funny. And I've always had that sort of perverse pleasure of playing, like a Telecaster and playing Sabbath on it, or something that you should be playing that in a Strat. And it's like, whereas this is kind of can do anything. There's no reason. Obviously, it does like corn and all that, so they can be used as metal guitars. But I think it's just part of that is, see, when you're using that much distortion, you're all down tuned and stuff. You really need note clarity so you can hear something, and I think that's where these guitars come in. Like all the notes been the same volume and the same everything. And the one interference. What was it? Actually, in some ways, this is better than the Paul Gilbert, because this has a normal jack socket. That's got one of those stupid barrel ones. So, Paul, you were wrong with the barrel jack. Barrel jacks suck. Just give me a metal plate with a normal jack socket on it every time. probably cheaper as well. Yes, so Floyd Rose, it doesn't need very much doing once it's set up and working. I've not had to unclamp it. The thing I would say is I do have a couple of these in a drawer through next door. In the 80s, used to get a generally I think it was in cheaper guitars, like a thing that clamped on here that took two Allen keys, which gave you that Allen key and that Allen key. Yeah, so I want that on the headstock of one of these guitars, or some way of having the Allen key on. I'm scared that even if it gets, I'm not talking about, you might snap a string. I'm talking if you took this into the studio, you have to take Allen keys because you might go in and there's a huge temperature difference and the fine tuners aren't enough, so you have to unclamp these. It's like, oh, so there's a wee niggle there with that. So I think I might do it in both of them. Just stick the Allen keys on the back of the headstock, so I just don't have to worry about it. I can take it or play it out without having to worry about it going off. I mean, obviously you don't need to use the Floyd Rose. I mean, I don't think there's really much point in blocking it. I would always have it there. Maybe just buy the hardtail one if you really want it. But I mean, one of the things I love about this, I know I'm just rabbiting on, sod it, is it is different. It is totally a different thing. It's not like, see if you pick up a Joe Satriani model Ibanez, which looks, doesn't really that similar, but it feels like a Strat. Or the one of my favourite guitars, the Roadster here. It's just get it. This is an RG as well. This is like a predecessor. The first year of the RG was still Roadster 2, but it is actually an RG 140. It says on the back of the head. It's an RG 140. This is basically like just a sports Strat. It's just a lighter, better version of a Strat with a better bridge and better pickups and everything. Basically, just an improvement. And it's like, I would totally recommend one of these, but you don't get them anymore. They'd be very difficult to find. They have actually kind of made the last couple of years. Is it an EZ or an EZ Yamaha, which Ibanez, which is pretty much that. Pretty much that does have the 80s look, something just but maybe having the black scratch plate. The AZ ones look a bit more this kind of 50s 60s Fendery type look, but basically that. So maybe get one of them, but the thing about that is though, it's just like plays like a really nice Strat. This is a different thing. It's a pure, it's because it's got such a strange neck. There's not really any other necks that are like these. Jackson's are kind of wide as well, but this is it's amazing. And then you've got the technical wizardry of the Floyd Rose, and then you've got the fancy pickups. It's just got everything on it. I just see it. I totally get the reason I never had guitars like this. I've never been a fan of Super Strats, but I mean this is the Super Strat. But I was thinking, if you're playing, when I started playing, it was Beatles songs and Stone songs and a bit of Sabbath and all that. There wasn't anything like this. Was like pure Extreme or something. Or Steve Vai. Yeah, I'm not playing. The guitar, it's not the guitar's fault what it gets used for. Not that I don't like Extreme and Steve Vai now. But can you imagine like Oasis having a guitar like this? It's just like, no. I mean, I know I always hated the band, but the sort of the fashion at the time, I suppose, was, Gibsons and Fenders and even going into it. I can't even imagine. You imagine Kurt Cobain playing that? It's just not cool enough. And maybe I think because it's not cool is the thing. You also get an awful lot of weirdy people who like have this and only listen to Steve Vai, or I don't even know if these people actually exist, but you do get a lot of people that have half a dozen Ibanez, and it's quite common to trick them out with all the most expensive bits. I didn't actually trick these out. I mean, the pickups you get in them are really good, but the chances are so often you'll find at least the bridge pickups are DiMarzio or something like that. I mean, even when I bought the PGM, it had the option for, he was selling the pickup separately. It had pickups in it, and he was selling the Steve Vai Evo set separately, and eventually I put an offer in and then ended up paying not very much more for the Steve Vai pickups. And then when I was playing it, I took the old pickups out, and it did have, not the original one for that guitar, but an Ibanez V7 neck pickup, which are really good. If you can get one of them for in a parts lot or in a guitar, they're really good. They're just not worth any money. I think they're maybe about 30 quid or something. But a V7 in the neck, it had a DiMarzio stacked in the middle, and it had a DiMarzio tone zone. The Paul Gilbert pickup was already in it, and I bought pickup with it, so it's kind of... They're often upgraded to the gunnels, these things. I don't really know why. I don't think it's because they need upgraded. It's just one of those things that you go, oh, huge Steve Vai fan, you got to have the guitar. And it's like, if you can't, there is actually a Gem Junior. I was actually thinking of selling those pickups, because people buy the Gem Junior, which is a Steve Vai Junior model. I don't think it's not cheap. It's like 400 quid, something like that, 500 quid, like an Indonesian made Gem. But I would have a Japanese made RG over the one with the fancy inlays and all that. Just have the money spent on just putting it together better. So I'm just going to play this for a good bit longer. I bought 2 RGs last year. Took me 6 months to get that one working just because I got other ones. And then this one, I couldn't say no. I was already aware that I quite liked that one. And this one came up just a plain black one, and basically I bought the pickups and never knew the guitar was free kind of thing. It was one of the first J-Packs. I had a Flying V-line in the my garage. The first week of J-Packs. In case Jen get bored painting them out here, paint that. I painted it, made a scratch plate for it, and lent it. So she sold that, and then the money I got for that, bought this. And then that 2 days later I took it over and said I was just showing Scott my new guitar. She's like, oh, can I paint it? It's that beer, yep. So I just stripped it down, there you go, bang. Not even thinking about it. But actually, to be honest, I quite liked it when it was just plain black. It was very not me, which I quite liked. The fact that it's up here, what, like something completely understated? No. I want it painted ridiculous, please. But it makes you play differently because it's a different layout. It's just like, maybe it's just in my head. It's got that, you always try and do more hammer-ons and more fancy stuff. If you want to play scales, what's happened there is I've not been playing it for an hour. Once I've been playing it for an hour, I start getting into it and go, all right, here we go, and start trying to do different things, more expensive things. I want to be able to do all the fancy stuff just so I can intentionally not do it. Or maybe do it for a laugh. Let's be honest, if I could do it, I would be doing it at the end doing it all the time just to be annoying. And I would be trying to do it, obviously learn it on this guitar, but playing it on a Telecaster, yeah. And they become a little bit more comfortable. Well, they are very comfortable, but once you start treating it, showing it who's boss, you can start getting some good stuff out of it. And they do take a hell of a lot of abuse. Just super basic. So, I mean, as far as guitar designs go, I reckon it suits, been right up there. I mean, if it came down to it, I probably prefer the Roadstar, probably, but it doesn't do what this does. You should have one. Whatever your main guitar is, have one of these as well, because this will do everything else, and possibly some of the things better than what your main guitar can do. Arguably, in the Strat there is probably more Strat than this. I was actually thinking of putting a push-pull pot in when I was doing this. So I said I've got positions 2 and 4 are single coil. A push-pull pot I could utilise the same tapping things and just pull it up, so it would just get 3. I would just have basically a normal 5-way switch. Everything was split. Is possible. I still might do it. It depends if I can find a push pull pot. Maybe put it under the toe. I don't think I would ever use it. Five sounds is enough, especially if you get 5 good ones. Sorry, always use the middle pickup. Use the Screaming Demon because nobody's ever got the middle pickup. Yeah, so buy an RG. I'll have a look at it on eBay. I don't think you're not going to. Well, yeah, I mean, you can get one for 300 quid, something like that. But I think if you're looking a bit under 500, you could get something like a pure proper super top of the line J-crafty type thing, which are even more intimidating than one of these is. I mean, even the cheap ones they're all right, but I mean, I just don't think it's that much cheaper. I mean, I think if you're talking about to get like an RG 350, is that's the sort of common one, one that's basically like the 550 but made in Indonesia. I think you're talking 300 quid for one of them, which is kind of the same price as getting. That's what I paid for this with £400 worth of pickups in it, or that. Yeah, maybe. I'm all for paying the cheap price, but you're talking about paid £200 for something that's pretty good, or £300 for something that's pure supreme. It's like, well, the £300 one's cheaper, isn't it? Rock on.